Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, the first one of the year. So we're going to kick it off with some Google. Um, and so today we're going to talk about making your website work for you and unlocking its full potential with Google Search Console Insights. And we have a quick video from the Center for Rural Affairs. They are a main sponsor of these webinars, our monthly trainings. And so I'm just going to play this video here and we'll take a peek at it.
Hello, and thank you for joining today's webinar, sponsored by the Center for Rural Affairs. My name is Nikki Chitwood, and I'm the Panhandle Loan Specialist. As one of the many services we provide, I am here to introduce to you our lending services. When a bank can't help you with your dreams of homeownership or growing a business, the Center for Rural Affairs can. We offer coaching and financing to help you become a homeowner and start or grow a sustainable business. Please feel free to contact me at 308-631-0157, or you can visit cfra.org for more information.
So we'd like to thank Center for Rural Affairs. They're definitely a great resource to get business plan assistance from. They help with financials. And so they are statewide. They have reps all throughout the state. And so definitely go check out their website and get connected with them. And then I'd like to thank our featured sponsor of the month of January is BMO Bank. They're great partners with Grow Nebraska. And then as well as our featured member for January is Penrith's Insurance. They're located here right in Kearney, and they've been a member with us since 2023. So if you're looking for some insurance needs, Curtis is your guy to go to. And then we do have some upcoming trainings on through January into February. On January 16th, we have Reviews That Rank, How Customer Engagement Can Drive SEO. That's with Adam DeFrisco, and he is going to be at Market Tech as well. And so this is kind of a lead up to the conference. And so definitely highly encourage you to attend this and even potentially go check out if you are able to attend Market Tech and check out his sessions. The next one is January 23rd with Monique Farmer. She has done 2 other sessions prior to that, but it's Breaking Barriers, Confronting Challenges to Unlock Your Business Potential in 2025. She's also going to be a speaker at Market Tech. And so highly encourage you guys to go to markettechconference.com to see if you're able to come for our day-and-a-half conference where you can learn, earn, and network. And then kicking off in February, we'll have Maria back doing another Google webinar, and it's Get Customers Now. And so if you'd like to take a second to scan this QR code to check out all our upcoming trainings, as well as if you just go to grownebraska.org under trainings and events, you can sign up as well. And we like to mention we are a Grow with Google partner. And so today we have utilized some of their slides as well to show you more a little bit about Google Search Console. And so they're a great partner with us to help us continue to show you all the fun tools Google offers. And lucky you guys, your presenters are right here, Cami and Tanya. And so I'm going to let Cami get us started here. And just one second while I get our presentation here pulled up.
So we just want to thank everyone for joining us, and we're excited to go over how you can make your website work for you and truly unlock its full potential. And so what does that mean? Today, we are going to talk about really thinking about your website and what can you do so that it shows up to your audience, so it shows up higher in search results. We love statistics, and so we're going to start out by just kind of sharing one to kind of get you thinking about what society is like today. So we all know websites an important component of everyday brands online and your marketing strategy. And so it's one of the touch points to influence shoppers and make purchase decisions, and we do it very quickly, whether or not you guys realize it. And so And we want to make sure that your website is serving your business to the best of its ability and really delivering a great user experience so it gets your customers to return time after time. And so 88% of online users won't return to a website if they have a bad experience. And that is a huge number. And so we want to make sure that first impression is a good impression. And so Tanya and I are here to walk you through some of the strategies that you can think of to unlock your website's full potential. So first, let's talk about goals and why you started your website. And so if you have a website or if you don't have a website, think about, why did you start your website and what purpose were you wanting it to serve? If you are still in the development stage, think about why you want to have a website, because that's going to kick off what you need from your website. So are you doing it to build your brand? Do you need to make sales? Are you trying to attract employees or provide support? So those are all strategic things to think about as the why, and think about who your targeted audience is, because you want to make sure that you stay focused. And a huge component that you need to make sure you have on your website is a call to action. Make sure that you're telling them shop now, buy, learn, watch, whatever your goal is, make sure it's very clear of what you want your user to do once they reach your website.
Yes. And then just kind of keep building off of that. You want to make sure your website is organized as you're logging on as a consumer. Is it easy to find the things that you want your consumer to know about, so like where they could, or if they're, for example, and find where they could build a gift box, or do they want to know more about our entrepreneurs that are selling through our shop? And then as you're building off that, you know um the products and what kind of products. And so that's kind of the information architecture of your website. So it's more of a plan to organize the info on your site effectively and sustainably. And usually less is more. You don't want your main menu to be super long. I would keep it up maybe max 6, and then you can always keep building off of that. And so some tips for organizing your website, um, you know, maybe use that example, like, here's my website and here's a list of the pages I would like to focus on my website, as well as as Cami said, you're assigning each page a certain call to action. So why should they go in and maybe hover over that or click on it? And then I do want to point out using like the visual elements to highlight helpful info. And so smiling faces are always going to get you a click, because that attracts the consumer's eyes a lot more. And then you want to keep your navigation optimized. And so making sure consumers are knowing like where they're going, and if they click here, they know for sure, like, this is where it's taking me. And then I'll just pass it back here.
Yeah. And real quick, another thing that we both strongly suggest is, once you have your website developed, ask somebody outside of your core group who helped develop your website to go through it. Ask them to shop for something. Give them an objective for them to do and nothing else, because it's amazing what someone else will think maybe doesn't make sense, doesn't flow right. They'll give some valid suggestions that can really help take your website up another notch. And so reach out to somebody outside of your core circle, like a friend, family, maybe a customer that you already have, to really go through your website and give you honest feedback. And so the next thing is, your website needs to have high quality content. And you're probably thinking, why? People don't read anyways, which is actually kind of true. A lot of us are looking at pictures and are very visual and stimulated visually. And so there's a few people out there that love to read and will still read, but the main reason you add content to your website is for the search engines. They need to know what your website is about, and the only way for them to know is for them to be able to read your content. And so it is important for you to have content. Some of the websites that you visit, think about where you see the content. Most of the time, this content will not be the first thing because ultimately you want your visitors to do an action. You want to show them the picture of the smiling faces. So you'll see that when you scroll, it's usually towards the bottom because that content just needs to be there for search engines or for those few people that will read it. And so make sure that you have very strong content. I'd go through and make sure that it's relevant. If anything has a date or is time sensitive, make sure you go and update that or make it so it can stay relevant and current. Um, and then make sure that your content is aim for it to be 1,500 plus words, but don't just have fluffy words. Make sure that you're thinking about, okay, if a search engine's to read this paragraph, it's going to pick up my story. It's going to pick up what my product is or what my service is, so that it knows if someone's searching for coffee, oh, well, this might be in a specific town, then it's going to pull, okay, this website might be relevant because it says it here and here within my content. And so really think through your story, your location, how someone might search, and put that into the content on your website for search engines to search. And then another thing to do is to update your website regularly. So once you have it up, don't forget about it. Come back and do some sort of edit. So maybe you update your picture. Maybe you have offered another service, go in and add it. Maybe you keep having customers ask you the same question over and over again. That might be a great indicator that I need to add that to my website so that it's more clear, so that that question gets addressed. And so make sure you're updating it because then search engines realize, okay, this is a website that has been updated, it's current, and so it helps with your results, pushing you higher up.
And then we both have some insights on kind of the optimal speed for a website. And so I'll let you kind of first hit
Yeah.
the points here.
Perfect. So speed matters because we are impatient people. And I do want to take time. We have the chat. And so if you guys have some comments or any questions throughout this presentation, please feel free to put them in the chat. Here in a little bit, we're going to ask you guys to, if you want us to see how fast your site actually loads, to drop your website URL in the chat so we can pull it. But as we go, feel free to ask questions, or even tell us what the goal of your website is. We'd be happy to kind of talk more to it. But optimize your images. So our phones these days take very strong images, but those images are actually too big of a file to optimize your website. And so when we talk about optimizing your images, you can do so that won't actually affect the quality of the picture. It'll just make this, it'll take the size from huge to a website size, and no one will ever know because the quality will still be there. And so we have great tools that will help compress these images. It's like Tiny PNG, Image Optum, or Swoosh, and we can put these in our follow-up email so that you guys can have links to them and really use the site that you prefer. Or maybe you have your own way to do it, because I know I can resize my image, but I would strongly suggest that you start with that because the too large of images just slows it down. It takes that much longer to load. And then enabling your browsing cache. What that means is if you have someone visit your website and your cache is enabled, the next time they visit, it's going to load that much quicker because it's remembering your videos, your photos, and those will just load in a blink of an eye. And so think about a website that maybe you visit frequently. If it loads really fast, that cache is most likely enabled. Um, and so that's a really good thing to turn on, because then you're just giving your frequent visitors a more pleasant experience. And then remove any unnecessary data. So think of it as you're cleaning up your trash. And so if you have old pictures that you're not using anymore, if you have pages that have been turned into a draft and you're not going to use those pages, delete, delete, delete. The more you can keep the back end of your website cleaned up, it's going to also help with your load time and your speed. And then, oh, awesome, guys. Thank you for sharing in the chat. And so now we're going to get on to our fun monitor and test. And this is kind of like a drum roll moment, because you never know how your website's going to do. And so Google actually has a wonderful tool that's Page Insights, and it will analyze how quickly your site will load. I'm going to pass it off to Tanya for this one.
Yeah, so I'm sure you've heard Maria kind of mention throughout last year when she would show this tool, but each second, like right here, you'll kind of see this is 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4, 5, and probably about at 5 seconds, it looks pretty fully loaded. But you may, she says like you start with 100%, and then as this takes the seconds, you start losing people. As Cami said, we're very impatient people. We want things to load quickly. And so Page Speed Insights um, gives you that information of how quick your website is loading, and and maybe some tools on how you can fix it. And so it looks like we have a potential website. And so I'm going to test livefarms
And
.com. And if you have a website that you'd like tested, I'm happy to do that. But we'll include this link in the follow-up email if you'd like to do it kind of on your own. But thank you, Live Farms, for allowing
being
us to do
brave.
this. So
And there is a statistic by Forbes Advisors that says website visitors form an opinion about a website in less than 5 seconds. Um, uh, and it's clearly we're an impatient. We're impatient, because 47% of all users will not wait 2 seconds for a website to load. And so that's why it's important. And Tanya says it starts declining rapidly, because we just think, oh, it's not loading, I'm moving on to something else. And that's when you lose potential customers. And so this tool can be really helpful.
yes, and this is a tool that Google made. And so definitely, if Google loves your website, all search engines are going to love your website. And so I would highly suggest to look at it more in the mobile platform. You're more than welcome to do the desktop, but probably 99% of people are going to be looking at your website in a mobile app. And a couple things I'll point out quickly here is it says that this report was pulled on this date, that specific time. Just right over here, you can copy that link, save it for later. And if you wanted to test it in like a month or two, if you've done some edits, then you can see like, am I declining in performance, or am I improving with these changes I'm making? And so right here, you'll see on the mobile app, Live Farms has a 64% performance, which is very,
It's actually good.
very good. The goal, Maria says, is 80. And so you're very close to that. And so you have a pretty good optimization speed, but it does take your website a little bit longer to load, it looks like. And so that could just be the template you're using or the theme. And so down here in the diagnostics, it does tell you, the things that you can reduce or eliminate to kind of help keep that load time going.
And it looks like one of the changes you can try implementing is to resize your images, whether that is resize it for the correct size of your website, but then also compress them so that the file size itself is reduced for website. And if you're like, well, what type of image should I load to your website? JPEG is a great one for website use. Try to avoid a PNG if possible, unless you need it. Those tend to be larger and load slower. But this is a wonderful tool because it does help prompt you ways that you can get your web some JavaScript that is maybe not being open, where maybe you had an element that used code and now you don't use that element, or you switched themes in some way. So it's important to try to clean that up. Or if you have someone who does your website for you, just ask them, say, hey, can you look at this? Can you condense it? And remove any unused code. Is the page speed analyst free? Yes, it's a wonderful free tool by Google, so please take advantage of it.
Yes.
And if Tanya mentioned mobile versus desktop, and if you are questioning how many people use your website on your mobile, another great tool that we have touched on in previous trainings would be Google Analytics. It can really speak towards the characteristic of those who are coming to your website.
Yes. And if you wanted to see how people are also seeing your website in a mobile view, you can pull it up on your phone. But as I
Being mobile responsive. So say you have a title text, and then when you go to a phone, it's not compressing to read all the words. You're going to want to make sure that it is staying mobile responsive for as many mobile devices as possible, especially because there was a time where we weren't mobile friendly. And so Google will not look at websites that are not mobile responsive. So really, if you have an older website, make sure you have done that. And there's so many mobile devices that that's a really great way to make sure that it looks good no matter what device they're using, so that they have the best experience.
And if anyone else has a website, they would be brave enough to want to share, we're happy to run it through. But yes, this will be linked in the follow-up email that we'll send out.
And another great thing, so if you have one, you still have a few minutes to put one in there if you're brave. So if you want to test it and you want to make updates, but you want to see, okay, did this actually do better? Make sure you copy the link so that you have the date stamped, and then come back, open a new browser and test it again, so that you can see, oh, wow, I went from 64 to 65. Or it's given me different things I can clean up.
Yeah. And I will say, like, if I would run this again now, like probably 10 minutes after, we're probably going to get a different speed score.
Mhm.
It's, and so even a minute after, I've noticed that it does give a different speed score. So awesome.
So don't be discouraged when you do it. Just use it as a way to continue to improve your website.
And kind of the another thing is a strong website is going to be search friendly. And so definitely when people like just search your business name, you want your website to pull up. But even if someone like searches like you know, I'm going to use the Buy Nebraska store, like customized Nebraska gift boxes. Like we would love for our website to pull up within that search result. But kind of the breakdown is you have your search query, but then if you have a Google business profile, and I'm going to put in a plug quickly, these are completely free for people to, for you to have a Google business profile. And it's a great way to kind of help Google like continue to see your website in any of the new content you're adding, as well as like they're going to utilize the content you're adding to this Google business profile. And so definitely take a look at that. And if you are a Grow member, we do assist with helping you get started with a Google business profile.
Yes, because you always want to make sure your Google business profile is updated. So if you have a physical location, but maybe you've changed, you want to make sure that's updated so people can find you. If you do have a storefront with hours, make sure that your hours are updated, even for any holidays, or if you're taking a vacation, then show that you're closed. And that's really good things to continue to update. Another great thing is that you can add your website URL to your Google business profile, and that creates what I'm going to refer to as a backlink. So now your website is your website URL, and also it's on Google business profile. And so having your website in more than one location, your link just helps boost it in the search results. So that's another reason why a chamber's a really great thing to be involved in, is because then you get another avenue where you can put your website URL.
Yes. Yeah, and the more you can kind of get like those referral tools over to your website, Google's going to continue to read those links and pull it up. If you do ever run Google Ads, it does pull up like more, if you're on your Google business account that's associated with the ad account, it will give you like the stats of the ad for your website link. And then I know Cami has some information about the local ads. So.
Yeah, so if you ever hear LSA ads, they're local service ads, and they are probably some of the most user-friendly ads to run on Google. But I just want to put a plug to make sure that it's actually serving your needs and you're getting the most bang out of your buck. So a business that I would say would be a great candidate for it would be someone who has competition in the same area. So local service ads are based off of an area. And when someone searches either something they're shopping for or a service, that's when this ad will come up. And if you are already own the top page of Google and you're coming up first, I would suggest that you wait to run these ads. But if you are like, I just want to, there's another competitor that's a town over, or I would really like to get my name out there. I'm new and I'm trying to compete with, maybe a big box store. That might be a good time to run these ads because then you will come up first. But how those ads work is when someone clicks on it, you pay for it. So if they were already going to click on you because you're top, then you don't need to run these ads because they show up above the search results. So if you guys have more questions about ads, feel free to shoot them in the text or in the chat or connect with us afterwards. But we just kind of wanted to give you that option. It's a great user-friendly option if you feel like you need it, but ads are not always the perfect fit for every business. So don't feel obligated to run ads.
So Google Search Console is it, as it kind of says in that image, it's improving your performance on a Google search. And so this is where you take pretty much your domain name and you're indexing, like pretty much manually indexing this into Google. Google will automatically do it, but this is like where you can start getting like performance results, seeing what pages are indexed. And so we are going to touch a little bit on that today, but it's monitoring your site's presence in the search results, as well as you're getting like, the data, the tools, and helping you get that like healthy Google friendly website.
And this is another free tool that Google offers.
Yeah.
So it's a great component to take advantage of.
Yes, completely free. You just have to have a Google account. And so, what is Google Search Console? Google Search Console, like it's confirming that Google can find and crawl your site. And so that's why if you add the domain name, it's crawling every like link you have on your website. So like it's crawling member directory, and then it's crawling all those specific links of our directory and putting those in, crawling them for the content and indexing them on Google. You can request indexing of new and updated content. And so I'll go through how to do that today, especially like if you add a new content and you're seeing like Google still kind of showing, um, you know, old content when you perform your search. This is a great way to make sure like Google's crawling the site sooner. It will crawl it eventually, but this that way it's soon and it's done. We recently noticed from on like a member page, something was updated, but it wasn't getting updated on the Google search. So I just threw the page into Google Search Console, and it was able to, I was able to request the indexing to have the content updated on Google. And then you can view your traffic data for your Google searches, which is super great because that can also help like, what search results am I pulling up in? And maybe like, is that something I need to, add like keyword content to your website, even to your social media, things of that nature. I also love this last point. You're going to receive alerts when Google is encountering indexing issues, which is really great because maybe like a page, you know, that you forgot about and it's not active anymore. And so it's going to let you know like 404 errors, or if something, what is going on with it. And so um
And when we say crawl the website, think of it as Google is going in, reading all the page to see what pictures are on there, what video, what content it can provide, because Google's ultimate goal is when someone searches is to provide them with the information that that person wants. And so they do that by going through the website page by console, we would say is a really
you can sign up for Google Search Console, and this link will also be included in the follow-up email. But if you just Google Search Console, you can press onto it, start now, and then if you have already done it, it's going to take you to your screen to see everything. But if not, it's going to pull up similar to this. You can add your domain. You do have to have a DNS code put into your website, and that's just depending on like if you have Shopify or WordPress or GoDaddy. And then, or you could do a URL prefix, which is like that HTTPS. And so either or on those, and you can do both as well. So you can do one, and then you can select the where your URL prefix or domain is, and then press add another property, and then you can add the other. And we have both on like our Buy Nebraska and Grow Nebraska, but you can also just do one. But I like to point out you can do both, but you just have to choose one to start with. And then here is where I'll kind of break down the benefits of the Google Search Console and what you can see. And so you can break out the date. So you can do 3 months, 28 days, 7 days, 24 hours, or you can do customize under this more section right here. You can do it by search type, and you can add additional filters. But I just did it by 3 months, and it's showing me the total clicks for the website I provided, the total impressions, the average click-through rate, and what our average position was. And then it does break it down into a graph up here. This is really nice to see, just to see how many people are clicking onto your website, and maybe did you do like a post throughout that day where people were searching, or were you featured in something that day? And so I like that it breaks it out by the day, because you can kind of see like, did I have a spike in clicks that day? And then you can kind of look back at your other statistics of other things to see maybe if you did something different that day. And then
it'll help know if your marketing efforts are kind
yes.
of worth the squeeze of the juice. So
Yeah.
and yeah, so this can be helpful just to think about, why why did I have a spike? And then maybe that's something that you continue to do, or
Yes.
build your marketing around those trends.
Yes. And then it does break it out by like the search result analytics by like the queries you pulled up in. And so like Beatrice Bakery, we sell their product through by Nebraska, and they had a really good sale on their fruitcake during this time period. And so we were getting a pretty high query of that. As well as it can break it out by like the specific pages on the website that people were clicking on, the countries people were searching in, the device dates. And so that will show you kind of more of that detailed spike of what page was that specific search result spiking on. And that's really nice to know, like for example, if like we notice like a spike in like sales, usually it's probably because someone was featured in something or there was an article, and so people are like searching for that specific product, and so that's where we kind of can know, like, there was a spike that day in our website because of this specific search result. um and so it's a great breakdown to look at, like the search results that you are appearing in.
And we'd strongly encourage you to take a look at the queries. Like, it will tell you what people are searching for to come and find your page.
Yes.
And that can just be really helpful in knowing maybe the words you should use in your next marketing, or even to take a look at your website. Are you using some of those words? Because maybe the top 5 you are, but when you get down to the 10th or 11th listing, maybe you haven't used those keywords much. And so that might be an opportunity to use that into your content and be strategic with the verbiage you're using.
Yes, and it can kind of building off of that, like I think it can also show you, like, is this keyword, one I should be maybe not being useful to my content on my website as well. And then indexing. Um, so Google does automatically, when you put the domain or the page indexing in there, it does work on crawling your website. Depending how big your website is, it can take a second. So like Grow Nebraska has a lot of links on there. So that does take a second to index. But if you have like a smaller site and you're just starting out, I don't think it should take as long. But so it's showing us like 4,000 links are indexed, and we have 85,000 that aren't. But then we have, certain pages that we have cleaned up that maybe are a 404, just because we don't have that specific page anymore, or are we redirecting them, things of that. And so it does show, like, here are your reasons why pages aren't being indexed. But the great thing about it is you're not going to have to go on like a scavenger hunt to figure out what pages aren't, being found or what aren't being indexed. If you click on, like, if I would click on not found, it will show me the specific, like, grownebraska.org/this, and it will show me the specific page that's not being found. That way I can see, yes, I know this page isn't being found because we recently removed it off our website. But then it seems like that's still pulling up in a search. And so, you know, maybe we need to figure out how to get that redirected to like maybe our homepage or another page that would be more useful with that content. And so you can see what pages are indexed or not. It provides you those reasonings for why pages are not indexed. And then I do like to point out, it may not index a page if it does not have a lot of content on it. And so an example I use is if I join Grow Nebraska and you get a member directory page, you have to add the content on there. And so if I have not added content on there, Google will see that as a new page, but it's not on their priority to index because I haven't added the content yet. And so once you start adding content to like your pages or your website, Google will put that at the top of their priority list. But if you're like, well, no, I want this index now, um, you can manually index a page, which is a really great benefit to also see like, and so I used my business here on like my member directory page. So if I add a new content or if it wasn't getting indexed yet, um, you would grab your site URL page, the HTTPS link that pulls up, and then at the top of the Google Search Console page, you'll see like the inspect bar. You paste that link in there, search it, and then it pulls up this page right here. The URL inspection shows you the link that they're inspecting. It once it loads, if it's indexed, it will let you know by this green check mark here. But if I'm like, well, I added new content and I want this indexed now, I can request indexing. Um, and then it will put it on like a list to get indexed sooner. But if it's not indexed, and it will be like a gray X right here, and it will say URL is not on Google. You can still then request indexing for that. If you've added content and you want the page crawled again, just press request indexing on either of those areas. And then yeah, and then I would give it maybe about 3 to 5 business days, and usually if you go back and check the URL again, if it's a gray X, you'll see green, or if you check back and do your search to make sure Google's showing that new content, it usually has then been crawled. But if you're still seeing not the results aren't getting there, I would just go back in and request the indexing again, because Google might have, crawled it and just not grabbed the content. And so.
And to add another layer to this, it might sound confusing, but once you're in this, I think it will be, think of green as good and gray as bad. I think it's fairly user friendly. And so, but if you have questions, feel free to reach out to us after, or even put them in the chat now if you'd like some clarification. Something to remember is we often search our own websites often in our browsers. And so our browsers will naturally cache, which, remember, it means that it's saving that information. And so if you do add new content and you have crawled it and forced it to do an indexing on Google, and you go and search it and you feel disheartened because it isn't showing up, you might need to take time to either do it in hidden browser, or do it or clear your cache out, so that you are forcing Google to pull the latest information and start that recaching over. We see it a lot with us is, the same website you go to, and it's always pulling that same content until you force it to do a cache, and then it just speeds up the process of that gratification that your content is out there.
Yes. And then, as I kind of mentioned, but bonus tip is, if you're creating a custom like 404 page, or you're getting one, just make sure that can guide the visitors back to your working web page, because then it is because if you get a 404 page, usually at that point, that's another potential percentage that you can lose some potential customers. And so if you can guide it back to the home page, then they're able to maybe try searching a different way on your website. But and then
one of the last tidbits we're bringing to you
yes.
is one that might seem obvious, but is very crucial, is to make sure your website feels trustworthy to those who visit it. And there's a couple things to keep in mind. Is your website, do you have an SSL certificate? So when you search it, is your website an HTTPS, or does it not have that S? Because that S means that it's secure. And that's very important. So if you don't have it, I would strongly suggest that you get one, or if you're working with a website provider, ask them to provide it. A lot of times it's already part of, of a website provider, but there are cases where it's not. So just double check that it's SSL.
Yes. And then kind of going back to payments, um, are you providing like a secure payment method? I know like all the Google Pay, PayPal, Amazon Pay, those are secure methods, but is the way you're, you know, asking people for their credit card information if they're not using those methods, is that secure?
It doesn't feel secure. Like
Yes.
if it's secure, but then it looks maybe not as professional or not as um, easy to check out as people are used to, then how can you make it so that your customer feels comfortable putting in that information that they're not going to have it stolen?
Yes.
And another thing that we talked about is um, be cognitive of how the experience is with your customer. You know, are you taking them off your site, then back onto your site, or to another site and then another site to pay? Because that can put up red flags to someone who is using your site for the first time, and they're most likely going to not follow through with the transaction because they don't feel like this is a trustworthy website. And so try and keep them on the same website, make sure it's all branded nicely, and that you would be comfortable putting in your own information. And that could be something that you ask, you know, somebody outside of those who built your website to take a look at, give you feedback. Like, what do you think? Did you feel comfortable putting in your information? What was the experience like? Because experience matters.
Yeah. Like a recent example is I purchased things off a website before, but my stepmom, she was, and then like on a consumer thing, it said it wasn't very secure and it looked very sketch and they didn't get a lot of feedback from customer service. And so she's like, have you purchased? Is this secure? And I told her I've had a great experience with it, but to her that it just looked a really not like a very trustworthy place to purchase from. And so definitely making sure like your consumer experience is, top notch, even if they're not speaking to a real person. Um, and even adding like that they can call a real person to get a hold of you if they do have any kind of questions like that. Um, and then reviews are always going to establish credibility with other consumers. And so another great place to gather reviews is that Google Business Profile page. That you can then, maybe paste some of those or feed it into your website so people can see those testimonials, as well as if you've had customers utilize your services or your products, maybe asking them for a testimonial that you can add, um, adding a picture of them. That always helps just because they know it's a real person. And then kind of leading into that, the ratings. So are you offering to be like, if you have a product, like are shoppers able to rate like, and review that specific item? And then as well as I mentioned before, contact info. Do you have contact info that customers feel like confident they can get support? I know I have dug and dug on websites before and I cannot find an email or even a phone number and they just have a contact form and then I don't hear back. So, are you able to provide at least one of those things that customers, they see the contact form, but can they still reach you like via an email or a phone? And then we're going to open it up for some questions. um,
So thank you everybody for joining us. Hopefully you've got something that you can take away to help improve your website or even your website experience and make it so that your ultimate goal is being fulfilled when a user visits your website and then you're able to retain them because ultimately you want that experience to be good and for them to come back again and again.
yes. Yeah. Well, I can
We'll keep monitoring the chat. So if something has came up or you want clarification on anything, feel free to put it in the chat while we're kind of wrapping up this presentation.
and my present link is not present, so I'm just gonna go this old-fashioned route here. um so um We have our Market Tech Conference on March 25th and 26th. It is 1.5 days of great speakers, networking. You can also exhibit and sell your product, but also sell your service to people. And so definitely highly encourage everyone to check it out at markettechconference.com. We have some great speakers leading up for our webinars to our conference. And so highly encourage you to just check out and see if you can come visit us down here in Kearney. And
We have a phenomenal lineup of speakers we are so excited about. We have pulled them from all over, from Nebraska to Texas, Louisiana. They are coming in from all over,
Yeah.
and they are experts. So it's going to be so good. And so we want to make sure that we're getting the word out there so that they can help. The topics are vast. And helpful for entrepreneurs and business owners to break it up.
Yeah.
So how do you say it?
Yes. So right here on PageSpeed Insights. And might be our internet here.
There we go.
Perfect. We have another screen that is showing us what our attendees are viewing. So once you're on PageSpeed Insights, you can go here to copy link. And if you copy this link, it tells you right here, it's copy to your clipboard, and then just save it where you will remember that it's saved. So you could email it to yourself or paste it in a note.
Or Word document and save it.
Yeah.
As long as you have access to that URL, you'll be able to see that specific page speed insight that you pulled.
Yes.
And so it might be something fun where you pull one today and pull one, weekly and see how you have progressed, or monthly and see, in a year where you started, where you ended up. They can kind of be fun and insightful.
Yes. Awesome. And then I do host open office hours Tuesdays and Thursdays. And so if you go to grownebraska.org under trainings and events, you'll see open office hours, and you do have to sign up for me to launch the call. And so if you have any questions as a member or prospective member, please feel free to hop on to one of those times, or you can just email me and I'm happy to set up a one-on-one call with you. And then I do want to put in a quick plug here about following us on social media. This is a great way to stay up to date on all things happening with members throughout the state, our events that we're offering, and what's happening at Grow Nebraska, as well as I will leave this up just a second. If you enjoyed our training today, we asked if you could leave us a quick Google review, 2 to 3 sentences, just to let us know your thoughts on the training, or if you've attended any past trainings, just letting us know what your thoughts were on those as well. We love to hear feedback, so that way we can continue to improve your guys' training experience. And then lastly, we just want to thank you for joining today's training. If you have any questions or even topic suggestions, please feel free to reach out to me at the store number, which is 308-338-3520, or at tanya@grownebraska.org. And then did we get any other last minute questions?
We have not. So if they do come in, feel free to reach out. We can answer them on the side. But again, thank you so much. We're so glad that you guys hopped on and hopefully got some good takeaways. And we will look forward to seeing you guys on future webinars that we have, and hopefully Market Tech.
Yes. See ya.